This segment is sponsored by KemperHouseWorthington.
KemperHouseWorthington, a provider of specialized Alzheimer's and dementia care, opened its first community here in Central Ohio last year. Dementia care is hard enough for families and caregivers as it is, let alone having the extra challenge of COVID-19. So here to talk about that are Executive Director Dan Thorward and owner Greg Sini. Good to have you guys again.
Thanks, Cameron.
Yeah, thank you.
So Greg, how did your families and you initially respond to the restrictions brought on by COVID-19?
Cameron, you know, this pandemic has put a lot of stress on all of us. In fact, it's forced us all to do things differently because of COVID-19. And honestly, the day the governor mandated that we stop visitation for families in senior living environments, it was apparent that we had to make changes and make changes quickly. One of the biggest things we had to figure out was a way to keep our families and our residents connected with one another without them being able to come into our building, love and kiss and hug on their loved ones. And, you know, these are tough situations. This was a monumental change that we all had to face. And I'll tell you, and to top that, we had to deal with keeping COVID out of our building because we knew it could be devastating.
Right.
So I am proud to say that we are still a COVID-free building. There's been a lot of close calls, but we've taken swift action and discipline procedures and protocols and has kept COVID at bay. So I guess fortunately, we've been able to keep our families connected. When we opened our building, we had a very robust telehealth platform, and we were already hosting families and doctor visits through video conferencing. And as of late, we've sort of graduated to what they're calling porch visits between our residents and their families. And we've not been perfect at it, but we've worked quickly to figure out ways to keep our residents and families safe and still it feel connected and satisfying for both sides.
How incredible, COVID-free up to this point. Now, Dan, this pandemic has made it hard for families to stay connected and feel connected. What suggestions will help make this experience more meaningful?
You know, that's a great question, Cameron. And the ways that we have people visiting now, either on the porch or at a window or through a Zoom call like the one we're on now, it's important that people sort of have an expectation, especially in our specialized area of dementia care, that they come ready to understand that our residents have very varied days. Sometimes they're in great space and sometimes they're not. So having an open mind and an extra measure of patience is critical. Having some questions that you want to ask are usually a good idea, to have some things that you want to visit on. We coach our families and those that come to Kemper House on specific things that they can ask. It's very hard for a person, for example, to be able to remember, like, what did you have for breakfast today?
Yeah.
That's a very difficult question for somebody with dementia. But there are lots of things you can talk about with them. And we coach families on events and memories and things that they can bring out to try to have a very good, productive visit. The other thing too is sometimes our residents aren't able to have long extended visits because it's very challenging cognitively to engage in Zoom or through a window or on the porch for a long period of time. So we do work on that, and we ask everybody that interacts with residents to work with us, and we can really help people have some very productive and very meaningful time with their loved ones when we work together.
It is so special what you two are doing there. So Greg, how can people learn more about KemperHouseWorthington and the Kemper House difference?
Well, the best way to reach us is probably through the website, which is KemperHouseWorthington.com, or they can call us at 614-681-8330.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much for joining us today, and most of all, helping keep our families safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cameron.
In addition to keeping your families safe, they can help keep your families connected as well. We know because we've been there at Kemper House Worthington. So give them a call, 614-681-8330.